What if following your passion could transform not only your life, but the lives of others in ways you never even imagined? Well, our guests today are going to be sharing how their personal passions became life changing careers and community movements. So let's talk. Welcome to the Fab Show, where we explore our fabulous lives. I am Gloria Grace Rand, one of the Fab Five hosts of this show, and I am so delighted to be here with you and to have these wonderful, amazing guests who are going to be sharing their stories. So, first off, I want to have them just tell us their name and where in the world you are today. So, I'm going to start over here on this side. No, that side, whatever. Susan, you go first.
Oh, I'm happy to. My name is Susan Stanton, and I am living in Scottsdale, Arizona.
All right, welcome. And then down below
Yeah.
you, we've got Carol.
Hello, I'm Carol Wachniak, and I live just outside of O'Hare Airport on the suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah, all right, awesome. And then over next to you, we've got Dr. Keith.
Hey everybody, my name is Keith McNally. I live here in Virginia, so not far from Virginia Beach.
All right, excellent. Right above Dr. Keith is, of course, a woman who shouldn't need any introduction, but go ahead, Tamara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tamara L. Hunter, and I am in the Ozarks, right in the heartland of America.
All right. And I am, as I said, I am Gloria, and I am in Melbourne, Florida. So I think we've got pretty much most of the country covered today. Nobody on the West Coast, but if you are watching us either live or on replay, let us know where you're from. I bet we got some California people out there. I have a feeling we do anyway. So I want to set the mood here and actually let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today.
Have you ever noticed how a simple passion project can quietly transform your entire life? When you follow what lights you up, whether it's a hobby, a cause, or a dream, it's like planting a seed of magic. Here's the secret tip. Treat your passion project like a sacred promise to yourself. Show up daily, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That tiny, consistent action builds unstoppable momentum. Suddenly, what started as a spark becomes a blazing fire that changes your world and the lives of those around you. So don't wait for the so-called right time. Your passion is your calling. And when you honor it, life-changing miracles unfold. Keep going because your breakthrough is just one inspired step away.
All right. So, Susan, I love that. That really did sort of set the tone for, I think, about what this is all about today. So, have you had a particular passion project maybe that you've turned into or something bigger or that was life-changing for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I definitely, I taught and coached in public school setting for many years. And when I got into transformational work, the art and science of transformation, I started feeding that a little bit. And I said, what if I could bring this, what I've learned, in a new way, teach and coach in a new way? So I have, in just in my own vocation. But just take for an example, someone that I was alluding to in my video, that loves to write, absolutely loves to write. And so they start doing it for fun. And they plant a seed, so to speak, and it feeds their soul. They keep nourishing and planting it every day. And then that beautiful seed turns into writing a novel, becoming a bestseller. And his passion project led to what he absolutely loved, which was writing a book and being published. Mm-hmm. So the power in those 5-minute moves.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know as a published author myself that when number one, I got inspired to write it, and certainly the book I wrote changed my life in a lot of ways. But also, when you get stuck, sometimes I think it's important to know that, yeah, just spend a few minutes every day because sometimes it can be overwhelming sometimes to try to write a book, but at least that's been my experience with it. How about you, Tamara? What's been your experience with this?
Well, I want to mention something that Susan said was it's a sacred promise to yourself and make it, that's an action. Make it a sacred promise to yourself. So you might be inspired and then the action of it. And so I really thought about your naming this show when passion projects become life changing. So that whole idea of passion, and then when we turn it into purpose, then we actually can do something like what Susan was sharing, the story behind the story. And I love it when you get to hear those too. You were inspired by someone that wanted to write. Then they wrote a novel and those 5-minute segments. I think that right there, that is inspiring for so many, and it inspired me. So, thank you. Thank you.
I love that. Um, Carol, what are your thoughts about what
I
she was
believe
talking
that
about?
the passions are part of our natural calling that we were divinely chosen to do. So it's something that you can do in your sleep. It's something that you would get up to do anytime for a reason. It's not something you have to make happen. It's something you allow yourself to participate in the creation. So
Mm.
that's my world.
Yeah, I like that. And I do know sometimes events spark something. Something happens in our lives, and I'm gonna share something right now that explains that.
So when does a passion project become a life-changing event? That's a really good question. So my goal of hiking the Appalachian Trail all the way through, it's called a through hike in 2026, was really motivated by my heart attack in 2022. So that really was a pivotal moment in redesigning how I lived my life. Everything that I was doing in terms of exercise was actually life-threatening as a result of the heart attack. And so my diet was a mess. I would eat a lot of protein and other things that were not necessarily healthy, but gave me size and bulk. And as a result, I was destroying my heart, my kidneys, and some other parts of my internal organs. When I decided to change my exercise, I then decided to give myself a goal, a target. And that target was the AT, the Appalachian Trail. And as a result, what I found out is that endurance exercise, and I mean endurance such as people who run marathons or do things for an extended period of time, really change their body, their mind, and their soul in very clear and distinct ways that make the whole experience something dynamic and something that you really can't explain in words, but really the results are clear and evident in terms of how I live my life and what I do with each day.
Yeah. So talk to us some more about that, Keith, because like I said, sometimes passion projects aren't necessarily something you think of, just one day. Oh, I'm going to decide to do the Appalachian Trail. You actually were motivated, by a health challenge.
Well, it's kind of funny now that you put me front and center. I thought somebody else was going to go first, and that's okay. So there's actually a series of events here with the heart attack kind of being the pivotal moments. Behind me, my right shoulder, you'll see a book. It's called Walking the Path of Leader's Journey. I wrote that the same year I did have the heart attack, and so 2022. The crux of the story is transformational, personal transformation about these young kids who want to find what life is all about, And in order to do that, they actually have to cross over a mountain. After the heart attack, I'm thinking, well, I actually want to put that book into practice. Now I live here in Virginia, as I said earlier. And so what mountain do I have? And I live by the beach. And so what mountain do I have to cross? The idea came to me to hike the Appalachian Trail as part of that transformation. Now, to do that, there's a whole lot of preparation, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. But what I found is that in the preparation, in the actual training, the physical training, I've actually lost a bunch of weight. So a lot smaller than I was before the heart attack. And even though my heart is still damaged because of the heart attack, I have restructured and really reclaimed my life in many different ways. So how I eat is different. How I exercise, of course, is different. How I approach each day is different. So with purpose, intention, with gratitude, which was never really a part of my life. You would say, aren't you grateful for things? I was, but not in the way that I am today. So gratitude has become a big part of, my daily walk, with God or the universe. And so there's a whole lot of things I could easily talk about, but I don't want to monopolize our conversation.
Well, I do appreciate that, and I will say, even from my experience too, that I decided to do a marathon years ago after my mom passed, and I actually got a thing in the mail from it was training. It was from the American Heart Association, and they were doing you could fundraise for. It was called the Train to End Stroke program, and so they would train you to run a marathon, and you raise money for the American Heart Association. So, I was never a runner before that, and wasn't really a runner after that. And I didn't lose as much weight in the training process, and so I was very slow. But it was really a good experience. So, um, Susan, or how about you? What are your thoughts about? I mean, have you had an experience where you've had something like that? Maybe that you decided to pursue something, maybe that you hadn't really thought of before because of
Well,
some external.
thank you for that. Yes, external. So I, at a level of fact, my retina burst, and it was about a year ago. And I had no idea it was happening at the time. I just went in with a normal eye check and found out. But what it did for me, and I love the way that you talked about the transformation that happened for you since your heart attack. This happened, but I started listening to my body. It really helped me become more in tune with that and setting the intention for what I would love, which is beautiful, optimal health. And so taking that dream of what I would love, I did inspired actions daily, and I started listening to my body and giving myself time to hit the pause button, do rejuvenate, connect with spirit, meditation, take time, and instead of the rushed pace I was at previously, I started to do with things with more ease and flow, and just found such a life-giving life that I was created for myself because of what happened. Because previously it was all condition based. It was all, to-do list. And then I really decided, you know what, I want to create a to-be list. And how am I being as I take my aligned actions each day for what I would love? So
Oh,
thank you, Gloria, for giving me the opportunity to share that.
I love that, a to-be list. Ooh, that is really good. That, my friends, is a absolutely. Well, I tell you what, this is stirring up stuff for me, and I know this the way our show was created was it's sort of plays off of something that one of our guests was involved with as well. So I'm gonna share a little bit something about that as well, so we can talk about it.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Share this with your friends and family and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
So I hope you were paying attention there, because I think you would notice somebody very familiar with the video. So Tamara, talk to us a little bit about this whole, your connection to passion projects and how it's changed your life and so many others.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for this subject. And I want to also recognize so many of the buddies that I have seen comments, and that Stephen R. Smith and our senior ambassador Caroline Brown, and I saw Steampunk Poe, and so many of our buddies that are showing up today. Because what are we doing? We're creating community. And yes, there are those passions, like I had said before, when I was inspired to comment to Susan's video, that yes, I had that chapter in my life that I got that call, those 3-letter words, those 3 words that you never want to hear, and sometimes you do, and more people are. And the good news is more and more of us are surviving, and I am a warrior survivor. And yet always in my life, as I was growing up, I always knew there was something big I was supposed to do, and I wasn't quite sure what that was. And so when I was called and then went through treatment and surviving and thriving after, I thought, okay, what is it? Well, it presented itself. Life has a way of doing that. And Keith, you mentioned it. Carol, you mentioned it. You all have mentioned it today, is that life and the universe has a way of showing up. And sometimes it's oh yes, this is exciting, or it can be a kick in the you-know-what, or it can be a slap in you-know-where. And it can be, right, it's time to do something. And that in that clip, you see a medical room, you see a chemotherapy room. Yes, I went through traditional therapies when I went through mine. In the background of that video, if you guys go watch back in the replay, is my chair, the chair I sat in. Why is that significant? In there's 2 of us, buddies. There was my original buddy. And what happened was I had an allergic reaction, and I woke up, my face was on fire, my throat was closing up, I couldn't open my eyes, and it was the best day of my life, because my purpose presented itself. And that was what we're doing now. All roads, like this show, all roads lead back to what we say, the buddies. We're a volunteer group that produces this show to entertain all of you. Yet what are we doing? We're out there sharing what one of our hosts, Barbara Beckley, said in that clip: humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love. And the world needs us more than ever right now. So if I can say that I have that experience, if we are changing lives, it's a community that's doing it together on a global level, and I'm thrilled about it. So thank you for letting me share. It was kind of fun being a guest on this side and being able to share that story.
Well, I'm so glad that you did, and you going through, we talked about now, we've had issues with Keith, with your heart attack and facing cancer. I wanted to put this out to everybody. What was perhaps maybe the biggest obstacle you might have faced when you were trying to turn your passion into, or just focusing in on your passion and bringing it to life? Go ahead, Tamara. Yeah.
I'm just going to say everything because the universe has a way of doing that. You show up and it's going to say, really? You think you're going to really do something with that? And what I like to tell everyone is that oftentimes we have the flow, it's there, yet we're going to have kickback also. And so when that happens, it just fuels my fire that much more. You said it in your video, in fact, Susan, the spark that becomes the flame. Those obstacles are the spark that becomes my flame. And then I'll usually, and this is the thing that's important too, is don't do it alone. Do it with other people. And so then if I'm feeling that obstacle, I'm going to contact Gloria or someone within the organization. And so that's what we like to, as buddies, encourage.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carol. Yeah.
So, I was given up for dead in 2003, went 96 days on only water and prayer until I found an alternative health doctor and my world changed. But I think the first thing that I was having a struggle with was holding on to my own dream. So I grabbed a hold of somebody else's dream until I could hold my own as my health got stronger. And I think that's a big deal. And it's made a big change. And the dreams got bigger and bigger. That's for sure.
I love that. Oh, well, I'm glad you were able to get onto somebody else's dream. That's good to know. Susan, you were gonna.
Well, Tamara was alluding to the fact that life will throw you curveballs, and it really is the good news. I've really discovered that because the paradigms want to be repatterned and let go, and it actually inspires you to grow and expand. Anytime you're going for what you're not sure of, like, in the public school setting, the structure of support was in place. When I went after my passion, which was to bring art and science and transformation to the world, it was like, I didn't know the how. And it really was the paradigms would come up. And I love what you said when you said, Tamara, everything, because I understand where you were and I understand, I went through that too, right? And it's really the good news. If you look at it differently and say, okay, what do I need to repattern? What needs to be released so I can go to my next level? What's the universe trying to tell me? What's the next inspired action? So thank you for bringing that up, Tamara.
I love that. Yeah, Keith.
Well, if I could add some backstory to my backstory, is that I have to be careful here because I don't know your audience. So I'm only going to say it one time. I'm a 5-time suicide attempt survivor. And so I'm also a disabled veteran with PTSD. And so it's not just me wanting to hike the Appalachian Trail. My Trail to Transformation campaign is about bringing awareness to this very issue that veterans face on a daily basis. So we struggle psychologically, emotionally, physically, and I want to bring awareness to this issue because the number is 22, or at least it was, of veterans who die by. And we need to change that. We need to eradicate that as much as possible. And if I could do my part in that, that's about proving that even though I've got challenges, I'm going to do this. And if I could do it, you can do it too.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to follow up with you, and then so I'm glad that you brought that up, and thank you for your service, and thank you for that. The courage. I think that's one thing I don't know that we've talked about yet, because I think it really does. When you go to do something like this, it's not easy. Especially something like you're doing. You said you have to do a lot of training, and it takes courage. What's your thought about that, Keith? That how can someone maybe even find the courage sometimes? Because I know it's hard, right?
Well, there's the evolution here. And so it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. It was, so 2022, October of 2022, we're mid, I don't know if you date your stuff, but it's, 2025 here. It's been 2.5 years in. Whole lot of mental preparation, a whole lot of physical preparation, a whole lot of soul searching. And I'm still doing it. There are days I don't want to get up in the morning or get up and hike, and those two are two different things. So the courage just to get up is just that. I'm going to make a decision today to breathe and live.
The other thing is too is making the choice to live our experiences to the fullest and to be present. Because when we're in that journey to heal or grow or whatever, we are taking that action to participate. It's a decision that we're making.
Yeah, for sure. And I just saw some purple hearts going by, so I'm going to play a little video for that in just a second here. We like doing that too, to honor folks in our community, and that they're part of that Purple Pen Hearts Club. So Carol, I thank you for sharing that, and I think this is actually a really good time that I want to learn some more about what your passion project is. So I'm going to share that right now.
Hello, I'm Carol Wachniak, and for 45 years and 3 generations, we have been a midwifery and doula family practice. We've served over 4,000 families, delivered over 1,200 babies. We had an unwed moms ministry in our home for 20 years, and I'm proud to say that all those babies are still with their moms. Midwifery is all the way back from the Bible times, and that's what we do. It is a calling, the passion that comes from those of us who know what our calling is. Motherhood is love. Every time you see a new birth, whether it's the leaves birthing, the new leaves, the trees, the flowers, a new idea, business, you are participating with creation. It is your calling. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle.
So you mentioned that you've been doing this generations. So explain that a little bit more. So I mean, is this something that it's like your family has been called into?
Yes, my mother. She worked for an organization out of Evanston, where unwed moms were giving up their babies. One day, I went to the school to the hospital to pick up one of the babies, and there was a piece of tape on the baby's back with a number, and this nurse was being very aggressive and mean, and she ripped the tab off the baby's back, and flesh came with it. And in my little mind of 8 or 9 years old, this mother would have never given up this baby if she knew that would have been one of his first experiences. And on the drive home, he had no spark in his eyes. You could tell he didn't feel loved, wanted, or valued. And it just broke me. So I thought to myself, at some point, some way, somehow, I'm going to do something. And so after I had my kids, I started teaching childbirth education, and single moms started showing up. And we have served over 250 midwives in Fiji. We brought medical supplies to them. We're doing a Greece classical midwifery retreat coming up in September, serving about 250 midwives. We're planning on there. I have the largest birthing community on LinkedIn. So it is a global movement to really hold the space and honor that miracle. Thank God, your parents were healthy and you're here. And you're doing something magical in your community. And that's what this is about.
Mm.
Each person is loved, wanted, and valued, and is here for a reason.
I love that. So I'm going to throw this open to everybody again because I'm in awe about that. For number one, but we're talking about passion projects and how they're impacting people. Has there been anything that each of you have maybe learned along the way that you didn't expect? Maybe something about yourself or something about maybe just the project that surprised you. Susan, I'll pick on you first.
It's so funny you mentioned me because I was thinking, leading to surprise me. What my why is so strong, the things that I've done that I never thought I would have. Like I spoke in front of and taught children, but to get in front and speak to adults, to do this show, to do networking, to put myself out there on Facebook with Facebook Lives. I wasn't even in social media before I started this passion project. So that really surprised me, and yet really did it because it's what I would love. I would love to expand a new way of thinking and being to other people because I certainly wasn't aware of it till later in life. And so that surprised me, Gloria, at what lengths I would go to share my why. And I really fell in love with it actually, more and more each day, more and more.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
I had mentioned that I was given up for dead in 2003. In 2004, because it was Christmas Eve when they sent me home, I told my 8 kids they needed to go find somebody to help. That's where the dream, finding out somebody else's dream was. Mm-hmm. And my daughter ended up going on a people-to-people student ambassador trip to Fiji. She found this high school where the kids were giving up on their dreams and getting sick on the water. And that calling turned out to be, we created a $60 million school campus in Fiji. So you just never know where that's going. If you're putting yourself in the offering plate and say, use me, God has a sense of humor. Watch out.
That's for sure. Tamara, you're nodding your head especially. I think you can relate, right?
Yeah, well, Carol, that's what we say all the time. Wow, God does have a sense of humor because it's like you're always getting to witness this. And I have to say, yeah, I'm blown away also after listening to your video and just listening to what it is, Carol, that you've done. And I want to congratulate because truthfully, we need so many more people that are going to step up. And when you think about life, and here you are, a small child, you're witnessing this baby, and you're witnessing that, and then you had the wherewithal to see what was happening with that baby on that trip. I'm thinking, wow, right now, this is a moment in time that possibly I didn't expect to have in the show, hearing your story. And this is where I think showing up and when we're having our experience and we are called for a passion project, we're out there, we're showing up. I really think that that moment in time and being present in that moment in time and opening ourselves up to the sense of humor and the lessons that we're going to learn, because truthfully, another thing that I often will say is that people will shock the what out of you. That you can assume this one's gonna show up and that one might, and it might be exactly the flip flop, it might be any and all of the above. Yet when we open ourselves up to the miracle of the moment and the miracle of the flow, and just like right now, what we're hearing in these stories and how is that affecting us, then I really do believe then that is exactly what this life experience is. And when we are at that level of, if you will, consciousness, and we talk a lot about that here on this show, where we're collectively working together And then we're looking at our individual callings within. Oh my goodness, that's where I think that the true miracles can show up. And then we follow those passion projects. And Skip talks about this all the time, and he sings this song a lot. Imagine, the song, imagine a world where people do step up to their passion and their calling, and they put it into action, and then they find the others that are too, and then we all work together, and we take 5 minutes. What would the world look like? I like imagining that.
Oh, absolutely. And, thank you for mentioning Skip, because I think this is a perfect time, especially in light of, when we're talking about, Carol's work as a doula. We have a wonderful song that Skip put together that is, I think, perfect for right now. I'm going to play it.
In the quiet moments, when the sun begins to rise, we find the strength within us. In the stories of our lives, not in gold or glory, but in hearts we've touched with grace, in the love we share with others, in each kind and gentle face. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. Through the trials and the triumphs, in the battles that we fight, it's the courage and the kindness that will always shine so bright. In the lessons that we teach and the dreams that we inspire, in the way we lift each other higher and higher. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. In the final song you sung, and the curtains drawing near, it's the moments filled with love that will echo year to year. In the footprints on the path that guide the lost and blind, your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held, the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. So let's live with open hearts and give with all our might, for the legacy we leave is a beacon in the night, in the echoes of our actions, in the whispers of the wind. Our legacy of love is where it all begins. Our legacy of love is where it all begins.
Your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind.
Cool. Just listening to that song, but also just reflecting back on our discussions today, is that each one of you is really leaving a powerful legacy of love in all that you're doing right now. And so Keith, I want to pick on you a little bit here now. I don't mean to pick on you, but to call on you. That's a better way of saying it. And have you maybe reflect on the song, and also if you want to also chime into maybe as well on if there's been something surprising that you've experienced on your journey that you're doing right now.
So over the past 5-6 minutes, and I've heard the word create and co-create, I think, in the conversations that we're having. And what came to mind was responsibility in terms of this. I could have laid down, metaphorically speaking, after the heart attack because the medical team said you had one, that's the door, you're going to have another. You will have another. It's no doubt about that. So what part, so my thought is this, what part of life, my life, is my responsibility? What part of the world of life, the metaphorical big picture, is my responsibility? Do I simply take what life or God throws at me and says, deal with it, in what way possible? So I could have easily just kind of sat around, twiddled my thumbs, and just waited for my second heart attack. Instead, if I have another heart attack, I don't know, but what part of today is my responsibility? What part of life can I show up and say, okay, I'm going to take charge here. I'm going to change my health. I'm going to change my habits. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to impact others. I'm going to have conversations. I'm going to see what I can do to provide help, hope, and healing, which has been my motto for the past, 2-3 years to others.
Yeah. That's a great question. I deserve that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Susan, how about you? What are your...
Well, I think how do you serve love? I really learned that it really is. We were given the gift of our precious, never before lived day today. It's our, I believe, too, 100% responsibility to choose how we're going to live today. And what I do for myself is like, how can I serve life? How can I serve unconditional love today in a way that serves others? So I love that video with like the love you leave behind. And that's exactly, it's interesting when you live with that in mind, how your days become so life-giving and fulfilled. So I appreciate that, Gloria, playing that for us. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate Skip for putting that together because it really is something we love to play that on the show every so often. And it's just amazing. Carol, how about I'd like you to maybe even piggyback on what Keith was talking about, the responsibility. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I see my world a little differently. I look into your eyes and I see one-day-old babies. And what wouldn't you do for those one-day-old babies? Everybody, the eyes never change. The human being might have grown, but the eyes have never changed. And the eyes are to the soul, right? So when I look at the world and I see things upside down and backwards, and to me, they're just like two little kids, just scared, lonely, afraid, whatever. And what can I do to just hear them, see them, acknowledge them, and love them? I love that. I love that song. That was really pretty. Thank you.
Tamara, how about you?
Oh wow. I just love what you just shared right now, Carol. And when I had never really thought about the fact that our eyes don't change yet. We know the eyes are the window to the soul, and the song, a little bit more about that Legacy of Love song. When Skip created it, it was all about inspiring the audience, all of us, each time I listened to that song, it was to what we call part of the Legacy series. And the thing about that song is each time I hear it, I hear something new. And I've been listening to it for the last year. So many times we play it a lot. And I still hear something new. And this time I heard the words courage and kindness coming through. And I thought, okay, the courage to step up with kindness, to then take the action of what it is that our passion projects and callings are, to go out there and effectively help to be life-changing and help our world. And I'm thinking right now, we also are on our network on E360 TV. We're under the entertainment and pop culture area, and we like to look at it. Okay, what's happening? Go back to your days, Susan, and school. And I'm thinking, okay, social science, right? Okay, what's happening in current events? And in current events right now, the world is saying, ouch, and so many are, I'm sure, thinking, I'm being inspired right now to step up and act. And I'm saying that with our eyes, the windows of our soul, and with our legacy of love and what do we want to leave behind, today is the day that we can start really looking at it and saying, and do we have to go out there and start something new? Not necessarily. If you feel in alignment with something that is currently out there and you can really get behind it, go join that group. Go find something that's going to really be a part of that legacy that you're going to leave behind. Because actually in the song it talks about it. It's actually our legacy that we leave behind, but the action is today. What love do we have today?
Yeah, that is so true, and I appreciate that. And one thing, because we're starting to get towards the end of the show, this has gone by too fast today. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful things, and I hope you all have been taking notes. And if not, go back and rewatch the show and catch some things some gems that were left behind. But I wanted to find out from you, is each of you maybe in just 30 seconds or so to share, like, what advice would you have for someone who maybe is starting to have an idea? Maybe they've got some sort of thing that's kind of noodling with them, calling them, but maybe they're still a little bit nervous about stepping forward. So what advice would you have for them? Carol, what do you say?
Serve the one that's in front of you first, and ask. Be interested in the person, and all of us can contribute to each other's dreams by listening and by just taking the moment to say, what do you need next? How can I serve you best? But serve the one that's in front of you first is the easiest step.
I love that. I love that. Keith, how about you? What's your advice?
It's been the same for the past 2 years or so. Just start it, really, because you don't know. I've been trying to figure it out, everything from beginning to end, and that is an impossibility for me to do so. So literally, God will put the next step in front of you when you're ready to take it.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Just start. And what is it? They Sue or somebody said, a journey begins with a single step. So just start somewhere. Susan, what advice would you have?
Thank you. Yes, the 5-minute power move. Baby steps will take you all the way up Mount Everest. Just commit to 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. When you align with something you love and take inspired action, life-changing miracles will happen for you. It's worth taking 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Tamara, how about you?
I'm going to say ditto to all that's been said. And then, say, don't overthink it. Go with the flow. If you are feeling inspired, go with that. Our gut has a way of talking with us and helping us through it. And so I love the encouragement and all the words already said. In fact, baby step it. and reach out to others. And the main thing is, as I say, just do it. Get out there and just do it, because doors will close, things will change, whatever it may be. Don't overthink it. Just walk, start that first step, baby step it.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I'm going to pose one more quick thing too, is that what if, or maybe just ask you right now. So how do you stay balanced though with everything else that's going on in your life? How do you keep moving forward with your passion and then still be able to do other things? Because I know we all have other jobs that we have to do maybe sometimes. So how do you manage that?
Well, I will say for myself, every day, anybody that knows me knows that every single day I go with that inspiration, and I am willing to turn on a dime. I got a lot of things going on. And I do believe that, number one, if I'm feeling inspired to still go down that road, I go down that road. And then I do believe in time blocking, being smart with our time, and, investing in ourselves also. That self-care is very important. I know that very much. So, the balance, you mentioned it, the balance.
All right. Carol, what one thing would you do then?
So my husband and I, we read every day. We read a chapter or so out of different books. We're real big readers. I spend time with God. I have the 8 children and 26 grandchildren, so they fill my world, along with being a midwifery assistant. So I think really the self-care too is a big point. And just be willing to rest when your body says rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
The inspired thoughts come while you're resting, not when you're stressing. So
for sure. Keith, what?
I totally agree with that. Totally. When you need to rest. I actually I do less, because if I try to do more, I screw it up. Sorry. This is
All good.
Well, and I say that to say I align myself with the divine nature of God and the
Yeah.
universe, and let the universe take care of what it's got to take care of.
Very good. And Susan, last spot.
I use my calendar as my spiritual tool, so I will actually schedule time to nourish myself and feed my soul. And I treat it just like I would an appointment with a doctor that I know I'll be there. So I treat it the same way. And when I serve my vision, I put that in the calendar. That's really supported me.
Very good. I love it. I love it. Well, I hope that you out there who are watching today, whether you were watching live or on the replay, I hope you got a lot of value out of this show, because I know I did, and there were lots of wonderful, great nuggets of wisdom out there. And so make sure that you are watching us every week, because we have wonderful guests who come on. We've got wonderful hosts who come on and are dealing with all sorts of wonderful ideas and ways for us to be able to create fabulous lives. And that's what our goal is, to help you to be able to do that. So really appreciate you joining us, and I encourage you to come back next week, and make sure that you can watch the show live anytime on E360 TV, or you can also find us on social media. So until then, I am Gloria Grace Rand, and I just hope you all have a wonderful and fabulous week.
Thank you.